Diego Maradona was born in a very poor place. It was called Villa Fiorito. This was a shanty town on the edge of Buenos Aires. Life there was hard. There was no clean water. There were no paved roads. It was a place where dreams had to fight to survive. Diego was the fifth of 8 children. His family was close. They loved each other very much. His father, Don Diego, worked hard in a factory. His mother, Doña Tota, took care of the home. They did not have much money, but they had love. This love gave Diego strength his whole life. It was the foundation he stood on. From a very young age, Diego had a special friend. This friend was a football. His cousin gave him his first ball when he was just 3 years old. He slept with it. He carried it everywhere. The ball was like another part of his body. In the dusty, uneven streets of Villa Fiorito, he learned to control it. The ground was not flat. It was full of holes and stones. This made him learn in a special way. He had to keep the ball close. He had to be clever. These streets were his first training ground. They taught him things no academy could ever teach. The game was everything to him. It was his escape. It was his joy. When he played football, the problems of his life disappeared. He and his friends would play for hours. They played from morning until the sun went down. They used bricks for goalposts. They didn't need a real pitch or fancy boots. All they needed was a ball and their imagination. Diego was different from the other boys. He had a gift. He could make the ball do things that seemed impossible. It was clear to everyone who saw him that he was not just playing a game. He was creating art on the dirt fields. His mother, Doña Tota, saw his passion. She believed in him more than anyone. She would save money so he could have a good meal before a game. She would wash his only football shirt by hand. She knew her son was special. She encouraged his dream. This support from his family was very important. It gave him the confidence to believe in himself. In the poverty of Villa Fiorito, a small boy with a big heart and a magical left foot was starting a journey. A journey that would take him from the dirt streets to the biggest stadiums in the world. When Diego was 8 years old, his friend Goyo Carrizo saw his incredible talent. Goyo played for a youth team. The team was called Los Cebolitas, which means the Little Onions. It was the youth team for a big club, Argentinos Juniors. Goyo told the coach, Francis Cornejo, about his amazing friend. He said Diego was a phenomenon. The coach was used to hearing this from hopeful kids. He did not expect much, but he agreed to give the small boy a try. This decision would change the history of football forever. It was the moment the world began to discover its next great hero. Coach Cornejo could not believe his eyes when he saw Diego play. The boy was small for his age, but on the field he was a giant. He dribbled past other players with ease. The ball seemed glued to his left foot. The coach thought the boy must be older than he looked. He asked to see Diego's identity card. He was shocked to see that this incredible player was really only 8 years old. Cornejo knew right away that he had found a diamond. He knew he had a responsibility to help this boy shine. He had found a player who would one day conquer the world. Diego joined Los Cebolitas. The team became unstoppable. They were a group of friends who loved to play together. But Diego was their leader. He was their inspiration. They went on a famous winning streak. They won 136 games in a row. People started to come just to watch this little team. They came to see the boy they called El Pibe de Oro, which means the Golden Kid. During halftime at the senior team's games, Diego would come out onto the pitch. He would entertain the crowd with his amazing ball-juggling tricks. The fans loved him. He was a child, but he played with the confidence of a king. This period was very important for Diego. It was where he learned to play as part of a team. He learned about friendship and loyalty. Coach Cornejo was more than a coach to him. He was like a second father. He taught Diego about discipline and respect. He made sure Diego went to school. He protected him from the pressures that were starting to build around him. Los Cebolitas was a happy time for Diego. It was a time of pure football, of joy and discovery. It was the perfect start for a young boy who was destined for greatness. It prepared him for the bigger stages that were waiting for him. Just before his 16th birthday, Diego Maradona made his professional debut. It was a huge moment. He started playing for the senior team of Argentinos Juniors. The date was October 20th, 1976. He was the youngest player in the history of the Argentine First Division. When he came onto the pitch, the crowd felt a special energy. In his very first play, he received the ball and nutmegged a famous older player. A nutmeg is when you pass the ball between an opponent's legs. It was a sign of his confidence. It was a message to everyone. A new star had arrived, and he was not afraid. His talent was impossible to ignore. He quickly became the best player on the team. He scored incredible goals. He created chances for his teammates. He was a number 10, the creative heart of the team. Fans from all over Argentina came to see him play. He was a sensation. In 1978, he became the top scorer in the league. He was only 17 years old. People were amazed by his skill, his vision, and his passion for the game. He played with a fire in his heart. Every time he got the ball, something exciting could happen. He was more than a player. He was an entertainer. Despite his amazing talent, he faced a big disappointment. The 1978 World Cup was held in Argentina. The whole country was excited. Diego dreamed of playing for his country on home soil. But the national team coach, Cesar Luis Menotti, thought he was too young. He left Diego out of the final squad. Diego was devastated. He cried for days. It was a painful experience, but it made him stronger. It made him more determined to prove himself. He promised himself that he would one day lead Argentina to World Cup glory. This setback only fueled his ambition. He continued to shine for Argentinos juniors. He scored 115 goals in 167 games for the club. His performances were legendary. Then, in 1981, he made a big move. He transferred to Boca Juniors, one of the biggest clubs in Argentina. It was the club he had supported as a boy. Playing for Boca was a dream come true for him. He led the team to win the league championship that year. The fans at their stadium, La Bombonera, worshipped him. He was their hero. He had conquered Argentina. The next step was to conquer the world. Europe was calling. In 1982, after the World Cup in Spain, Diego Maradona made a world record transfer. He moved to Europe to play for FC Barcelona. This was one of the biggest clubs in the world. It was a huge step. The pressure was immense. Everyone expected him to be a superstar. Life in Barcelona was very different from Buenos Aires. It was a new culture, a new language, and a new style of football. Diego had to adapt to many changes. He was still very young, and he was now in the global spotlight. The whole world was watching to see if the Golden Kid could succeed in Europe. His time at Barcelona was a mix of brilliant moments and difficult challenges. He showed his genius on the field. He scored a famous goal against Red Star Belgrade. He scored another amazing goal against Barcelona's biggest rivals, Real Madrid. The Madrid fans even stood up and applauded him. It was a sign of great respect. But he also had many problems. He got a serious illness called hepatitis, which made him miss many games. He found it hard to deal with the strict rules of the club. He was a free spirit, and he clashed with the club's powerful president. The worst moment came in a match against Athletic Bilbao. A defender named Andoni Goicoechea made a terrible tackle on him. The tackle broke Diego's ankle. It was a very serious injury. Many people thought his career might be over. It was a brutal welcome to the physical style of European football. The recovery was long and painful. It tested his strength and his spirit. But Diego was a fighter. He worked hard every day to come back. This injury left a deep mark on him, both physically and mentally. It made him tougher. It made him understand the dark side of the game. After 2 seasons, his time in Barcelona came to an end. It ended after a huge fight on the pitch in the Spanish Cup final. It was a chaotic and sad way to leave. While he had shown moments of magic, his time in Spain was seen as a disappointment. He had not won the big trophies everyone expected. Some people started to doubt him. They wondered if he could handle the pressure of European football. But another club saw his fire. They saw his genius. A team from the south of Italy was ready to take a chance on him. This move would change his life and the history of a city forever. In 1984, Diego Maradona moved to a club that, honestly, nobody expected. He signed for Napoli, a team in the south of Italy. At that time, Napoli was not a big club at all. They had never won the Italian league title, which is called the Scudetto. The city of Naples was poor, chaotic, and, often looked down upon by the rich north of Italy. When Maradona arrived, 80,000 fans filled the stadium just to welcome him. They saw him as a savior. They saw him as one of their own, a poor boy from a forgotten place, coming to lead them to glory. The connection between Maradona and the people of Naples was instant and honestly incredibly powerful. With Maradona, Napoli was transformed. He was the leader, the captain, and the inspiration. He lifted the whole team. His teammates played better just by being on the same pitch as him. He scored goals that nobody else could score. He created chances out of nothing. The fans worshipped him. His face was painted on walls all over the city. He was more than a football player. He was a symbol of hope and rebellion for Naples. He was their king, their hero, their god. He loved the city and its people, and they loved him back with an incredible passion. In the 1986-87 season, the impossible happened. Napoli, led by Diego Maradona, won the Scudetto for the first time in their history. The city of Naples exploded in celebration. The party lasted for weeks. It was a victory for the whole of southern Italy. It was a victory against the powerful, rich clubs of the north, like Juventus and AC Milan. Maradona had delivered the dream. He had made the poor people champions. He became an even bigger legend. He would lead Napoli to another league title in 1990 and a UEFA Cup in 1989. This was, without a doubt, the most successful period in the club's history. His time in Naples was the peak of his career. It was where he played his best football. It was where he felt the most loved. But, it was also a time of great danger. The pressure was enormous. He could not live a normal life. Everywhere he went, he was surrounded by crowds. He fell into a dangerous lifestyle. He became involved with the Camorra, the local mafia. He started using cocaine. The same city that lifted him up was also a golden cage. His years in Naples were a story of incredible glory and deep personal struggle. A story of a man who became a god but had to pay a very high price. The 1986 World Cup in Mexico is where Diego Maradona became an immortal legend. He was the captain of Argentina. He was at the peak of his powers. He carried the hopes of a nation on his shoulders. He dominated the tournament like no player had before or has since. He played with a fiery determination. He seemed to be on a mission. He scored goals, he made assists, and he led his team with incredible passion. The whole world watched in awe as this one man took his team towards the final. He was playing at a level that was different from everyone else on the planet. The quarter-final match was against England. This was not just a football match, it was much more. Only 4 years earlier, Argentina and the United Kingdom had fought a war over the Falkland Islands, which Argentinians call the Malvinas. Argentina had lost the war. The country was still hurting. The match was a chance for revenge, a chance to regain some national pride. The atmosphere was incredibly tense. For Maradona and for all of Argentina, this game was personal. It was a battle that had to be won, not just for football, but for the honor of the country. In this one game, Maradona showed the two sides of his character. He showed the cheat and the genius. He scored two of the most famous goals in the history of football. The first goal was scored with his hand. He jumped with the English goalkeeper Peter Shilton and punched the ball into the net. The referee did not see it and gave the goal. After the game, Maradona said the goal was scored a little with the head of Maradona and a little with the hand of God. It was a moment of clever cheating. It was the rebel who would do anything to win for his people. Just 4 minutes later, he scored the most beautiful goal ever seen. He got the ball in his own half of the field. He turned and started to run. He dribbled past 5 English players, one after another. He ran more than half the length of the pitch. He even went around the goalkeeper before calmly scoring. It was a moment of pure, breathtaking genius. It was named the goal of the century. These two goals in the same game perfectly defined Maradona. He was the rebel and the artist, the sinner and the saint. A complex hero who could create miracles. After the incredible victory against England, Argentina had to face Belgium in the semi-finals. Belgium was a very strong team. They had some great players. But once again, Maradona was the difference. He took control of the game. He was unstoppable. The Belgian players tried to mark him, sometimes with 2 or 3 defenders. But he was too quick, too strong, and too clever. He seemed to see things on the pitch that no one else could see. He was playing football from another dimension. His performance was a masterclass in leadership and individual brilliance. In the second half of the match, Maradona scored 2 more amazing goals. The first one was a clever finish, but the second one was another moment of pure magic. It was similar to his famous goal against England. He received the ball outside the penalty area. He ran at the Belgian defense. He twisted and turned, dribbling past 4 defenders who seemed frozen in time. Then, he fired the ball into the net with his magical left foot. It was another goal that only he could score. He had single-handedly decided the match and sent his country to the World Cup final. The final was against West Germany. The Germans were a powerful and organized team. They knew that stopping Maradona was the key to winning. They marked him very tightly. A famous player named Lothar Matthaus followed him everywhere on the pitch. For most of the game, the German plan worked. Maradona did not have much space to create his magic. Argentina went ahead 2-0, but the Germans showed their fighting spirit. They came back and scored 2 late goals to make the score 2-2. With only a few minutes left, the dream seemed to be slipping away. But legends find a way to win. Even though he was tightly marked, Maradona made the decisive play. With just minutes remaining, he received the ball in the center of the pitch. He was surrounded by German players, but in a moment of genius, he saw a space that no one else saw. He played a perfect instant pass through the German defense. The pass sent his teammate Jorge Burruchaga running towards the goal. Burruchaga scored, and Argentina were world champions. Maradona did not score in the final, but he provided the final, brilliant touch. He lifted the World Cup trophy, fulfilling his destiny and becoming a national hero forever. Being the most famous man in the world came with a heavy price. After the glory of 1986 and his success in Naples, the pressure on Diego Maradona became unbearable. He could not walk down the street. He had no privacy. Every part of his life was examined by the media. This constant attention was a huge burden. To escape the pressure, he made bad choices. His addiction to cocaine, which started in Barcelona, became much worse in Naples. It was a way to cope with the stress and the loneliness that came with his incredible fame. His life off the pitch started to spin out of control. His struggles with addiction became public. In 1991, he was banned from football for 15 months after testing positive for cocaine. This marked the end of his magical time at Napoli. He left Italy in disgrace. He tried to restart his career in Spain and then back in Argentina, but he was never the same player. The fire was still there, but his body was paying the price for his lifestyle. He was chosen to play in the 1994 World Cup in the USA. He looked fit and scored a brilliant goal in the first game. It seemed like he might have one last miracle left in him. But then, disaster struck. After a match against Nigeria, he was chosen for a random drug test. He tested positive for a banned substance called ephedrine. He was kicked out of the World Cup. He claimed he had taken a drink that contained the substance without knowing. But it did not matter. His international career was over. It was a sad and controversial end for the greatest player of his generation. The image of him being led off the pitch by a nurse became a famous and tragic symbol of his fall from grace. It was a heartbreaking moment for him and for football fans everywhere. After retiring from playing, his struggles continued. He had serious health problems because of his past addictions and his weight. He had several near-death experiences. He went through periods of rehabilitation. He fought his demons in public, but he never gave up. He always found a way to fight back. He became a coach, managing several clubs and even the Argentine national team at the 2010 World Cup. His life was a constant battle between his genius and his personal flaws. He was a man who lived on the edge, experiencing the highest highs and the lowest lows. Diego Maradona passed away on November 25, 2020. The news shocked the world. In Argentina, 3 days of national mourning were declared. Millions of people cried in the streets. In Naples, the city was heartbroken. They renamed their stadium the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona in his honor. From the shanty towns of Buenos Aires to the capitals of Europe, people who loved football felt a deep sense of loss. He was more than just a great player. He was a symbol of hope for the poor and the forgotten. He showed that a boy from the slums could conquer the world. His legacy is not just about the trophies he won or the goals he scored. It is about how he made people feel. When Maradona played, he played with his whole heart. He played with a passion and a joy that was infectious. He was a rebel who fought against the powerful. He was an artist who created moments of impossible beauty. He represented the dreams of millions. For many, especially in Argentina and Naples, he was a god. A flawed, human god, but a god nonetheless. He gave them a voice and made them feel proud. This emotional connection is his most powerful legacy. He is remembered as one of the greatest footballers of all time. Debates will always continue about who was the best, Maradona or Pele or Messi. But Maradona's story is unique. He was a genius who was also deeply human. His life was a drama of glory and tragedy. He made mistakes, and he was not a perfect role model, but he was always authentic. He was always himself. This honesty, this raw humanity, is why so many people loved him. They saw his struggles and they saw his triumphs. They saw themselves in him. Today, Diego Maradona is a cultural icon. His image, with his wild hair and his number 10 shirt, is recognized everywhere. Children who were not even born when he played know his name and watch videos of his magical goals. His story is told and retold. It is a story of talent, passion, rebellion, and redemption. It is a reminder that greatness can come from the most humble beginnings. Diego Maradona is gone, but his spirit lives on. It lives on in every child who plays football in the street, dreaming of scoring a goal that the world will never forget. His legend is eternal.